Hi, and welcome back to the International Academy of Wing Chun podcast. My name's Greg Willis, and this is episode 4. Hey, Sifu, how are you? Good to see you again.
I'm fine. And you?
You well? Yeah, very well, very well. It's a bit rainy and drizzly here, but hopefully we'll get some sunshine soon.
Yeah, I mean, here I always have some sunshine. Today is 30 degrees. It's always every day,
God.
like every day. So I have the aircon here, so I almost need it.
Moving on from the weather in England.
Just came from swimming, but now it's getting dark, so it's fine.
Good,
but still
good.
30 degrees.
Excellent.
It's good. It's good for me.
So in this podcast, Sifu, you mentioned last time about some combination or numbering some techniques in the system, some of the basic and even advanced techniques. And I think previously we spoke about there's the 12 and 9, the 21 techniques, and maybe this is revised to 24. So maybe just to go to back to the older 21 and explain the background of these movements and how you've numbered them and how they were grouped in this way.
Yeah. The main thing for this is I did now finish my book about the history and everything about Wing Chun. So history, scientific, art, everything what you have to know as a student and especially as an instructor. I mean, for instructors, this book will be a help. I think that an instructor could just have this book and open a school immediately after reading it.
Okay. So we're very looking forward to this book coming this year.
It comes very soon, yeah. And I will explain techniques, not with pictures. I explain it with sentences. So I explain the technique, not I show up with the technique like these old blackhead things. You see a picture, and a picture could even be not a good explanation. If you think about something and you do it right, like you understand it, it's much better. You feel the technique. Then it becomes good.
I was going to say, it must be a very difficult thing to, obviously you can take a picture. A picture is no good for a movement. A video is then good for a movement, but words, you have to explain the feeling and the meaning behind the movement as well. So it couldn't have been an easy task to do that.
Yeah, I mean, a video could be okay, but a picture, I'm not satisfied with pictures. Pictures could lead in the wrong direction because you see something and you know what is your feeling if you see a picture. A movement, a video, yeah, okay, that could help, of course. But I like the idea to explain it, just explain it. And you have to read it and imagine how your body is moving. And this is very interesting. I want to start like this. Otherwise, anyway, with a book or pictures or videos, you cannot learn Wing Chun or SAT. You learn nothing. It is good. It's a good help. It is something you could know what I mean. If you don't have an idea of Wing Chun or SAT, you could know what I mean. It could be a help, but of course, without a teacher, you cannot come far. So, and I explain about the elementary techniques, the primary techniques, what you have to learn as a student in the first weeks or months. And these are 12 techniques. And like I said, I could even develop a new style. I don't want it, and it is just to say it with these 12 techniques, like 2 attacking, 2 defending techniques, 2 steps, 2 stances, 2 pre-positionings, and 2 combinative techniques.
Okay.
What I need as a combination to do some Kühn at the end.
Okay.
So these are 12 techniques, and 2 of this, 2 of that. I could say with these 12 techniques, I could train people and they could enjoy the whole life by knowing some martial art and being prepared in some way, not in a perfection, not as a way of martial artist or an artist as well. So it is just to know something about martial art, about defending, what could I do? And the thing is, if you don't know much, better you don't have too many ideas to select the right thing. Better have just a defending idea of a high or low attack, an attacking possibility, which is almost the same, like Linban Kühn and Song Kühn is almost the same. It's a linking punch or a punch, not too complicated. A stance and a step, but we have another stance. For example, if we have the basic stance, we do a step. The Chinbo, we find us in the Jingzhenma. Yeah. So we of course find the stance after a step. So we need 2 steps or 2 stances to be a bit flexible as well. At least. And so these techniques, these 12 techniques, what I mean, which are, for example, the 2 attacking techniques like Linban-Kühn and Zong-Kühn. I mean, of course, we need to know how to strike. And I think it is different if we use, in some situations, a Linban-Kühn or Zong-Kühn. If we combine it to, for example, with a combination technique like Pak, we cannot say Pak and Linban-Kühn. For what Linban-Kühn? Linban-Kühn is to stop a body sometimes and to attack the body after the stop. And if we aren't successful after the second strike from Linban-Kühn, anyway, our strikes need more training, right? So if we are not successful by doing something, we have to train this thing, not more behind or after. This is my main meaning to train this 12 techniques. We have to become good in this technique, and then we have the chance to add something, some new step, some new stance, some new preparing technique, or some new combining technique, or some new attacking technique or defending technique. After I know exactly how I can use this, what I learned, and I'm sure a student could learn this in half a year, let's say half a year, and could be good. He could learn it, of course, in 2 weeks, but he cannot use it.
Yeah, you can't apply that. It takes time.
Yeah, you can apply it. Applying, and in a very good way with some experience, needs about half a year. This is my meaning. So I would say to perfect this 12 technique needs about a year. During this year, you can add some other techniques. And these techniques, last video when we had this podcast, I said 9, but I counted back, it's 12 as well. 12 techniques, which means 4 more attacking techniques or 3 more advanced techniques, defense techniques, sorry. 2 more steps, 2 more stances. I mean, pre-positioning is always the same, man and Wu. Never change. We have no new pre-position. And 1 more combining technique. I mean, the combining technique, let's start with this.
Okay.
Pak and Sam actually are the most interesting combining techniques to remove the arms of my opponent to attack him. In some way, after a turn or some situation, a lapsao could work pretty good, so I added this lapsao. Man and Wu is anyway the same as a pre-position technique. It's always the same, always only 2. We don't have more in the whole system. We have versions of Man and Wu, like Wu could be not just at the Qingjian in the middle of your back, could move in the back. It's like a target, but the Man is not moving. The more you go forward, the less it can move. Yeah, so you have this idea of triangle in front of you. To have Wu, which is in the back, parallel part of the triangle, and you could move forward with Man, but Man is not as flexible anymore as Wu is on the line, because it has to go forward mainly. So we have the Qingzama and the Qingma. I mean, this is the basic stance, and the Qingma we call often fighting stance. I like to call it fighting stance, the fight stance. In German I say it's Kampfstand. Yeah, I mean fight stance, because this is what the students learn to train Lazao all the time. The Qingma is a very stable stance, very easy to go forward. You just need 1 step. It's not complicated. It's very simple. And so in that way, Qingma is actually the stance number 1. Easy to do Qingma in the Dabo, right? Step, stance.
And Qingma, I think, is translated as meridian stance, right? You say it's the warrior stance.
Meridian
and this,
stance, yeah.
This
stance, yeah.
1 foot in front of the other, kind of inline meridian, yeah.
And the straight body stance, the Qingzhenma, which is on the back triangle as well, like the Wu, actually, like I explained the Wu, same idea. When we go forward from Qingzhenma with the Qinbo, with the primary step. from Qingzhenma, or the Dabbo, the primary stack, from Qingma. And we always end whatever we do in Qingma. So Qingma is
and stepping forward, ending in Qingma.
Yeah. So we have, of course, with these two stances, Qingzhenma, Qingma, and the Dabbo or Qingbo from Qingzhenma, from the basic stance, we have all what we need. I mean, this is not complicated. Yeah? But the interesting thing comes later. So we have, of course, as a primary two elementary techniques of defending, Tan and Gan, because high and low. We have to fight against high attacks or low attacks. More possibilities it almost not have in every fight. So I could use Tan and Gan for everything, every low or every high attack. I mean, if you imagine your Wu position, so you see your arm, and now you can say what attack comes upper my forearm or lower my forearm. So you have to decide to use Tan or Gan. It's more simple than the most think.
And then so the Tan and Gan both sides, this side, this side, this side, this side.
Of course, we have two arms, we have two possibilities.
Both sides,
we can use the Tan or the Gan from Man or from Wu all the time. Yeah, we have two preparing techniques, or pre-positions, and so we can use from Man and from Gan. We can use two arms, however we stand, and it's not a primary thing to Man with the right hand, or we use the Man with the left hand. It's not a primary thing. It is like it is. We stand how we want to start. Yeah, if we start in our idea with the left punch, of course it ends if we cannot attack with the left Man. If we start in our mind, we think it is better to start with the right because of some movement of our opponent. What is actually, I would say, 70-80% more effect that we start with the right hand, not because it's stronger, because of the movement of our opponent. But this is something we should move to another podcast. It's very interesting how to pre-position because of the pattern of what we see of our opponent. But this is something else.
Okay.
First, we think about the attack. Very simple. The attack of our opponent. Most attacks are high. Some attacks are low. This is a fact, like I said, with the pre-positioning. I would say 90% or 80% to 90% attacks are high attacks as a first attack. I mean, who strike or starts with a low attack? It has some guys, they do this, but this is not more than 20%. I don't think. So after the Tan and Gan, of course, we could add these techniques to defend something with a Bong Sao, which is a good idea. The most Wing Chun doers think Bong Sao is the main thing of Wing Chun, but Bong Sao is not important. I could even delay Bong Sao, and it is a perfect system. But the Bong Sao looks like, it always looks like the typical Wing Chun movement, even if it is.
Yeah, it's a very iconic Wing Chun movement, and maybe a lot from I see quite a lot misunderstood as well.
Misunderstood because they do it backwards, Like if you have a knife in your hand, you stab yourself. And the very interesting thing is they do backwards the Tan Sao and backwards the Bong Sao, and this is the typical thing what you see online when you look at Wing Chun movements, right? But as soon as these crazy people are coming to train wooden dummy, all of a sudden it is active.
All of a sudden it's going forward.
All of a sudden it's going forward. All of a sudden it's forgotten. All this passivity, talking 20 years about passivity, and I mean, Mokyan Sang is the fourth form, not the first. So the most students learn this after, let's say, 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. I don't know, but they learn it very late. So all of a sudden, everything of this passivity conversation is forgotten, and all of a sudden they do it active. And so the thing is, they even don't think about it. They just do it active all of a sudden because it's Mokyan Sang, and they beat this wooden guy up like it has no tomorrow, yeah? With the bong and the...
Yeah, again, it looks cool, maybe, that's it.
It looks cool, yeah, it is a typical cool, we are soft and blah, blah, blah. But I will explain everything in the book. And this is what I mean with the scientific thing, I always say it always has a possibility to verify or falsify something. in scientific way.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, if I say I can verify what I do, it does mean you have to get some requirements. Of course, you need a bit power. You cannot be some weak guy with a skinny bone and you are not able to do one pull-up, push-up, or something else. And then, of course, you do not get or comply the requirements. This is a problem, of course. So for a regular guy who has a strength, I could prove in some weeks that these movements are functional. This is important. Yeah, and then we have, for example, if we come up to 5 defending techniques, Ganser we spoke about, Gongser we spoke about, the Gausau and Fuchsau. I mean, this is very important. Gausau and Fuchsau, very important techniques. Very, very. It's great. It's in Chisau. We train it in Chisau, which is anyway training for advanced in Kursau. So Gausau, Fuchsau, absolutely important. Top techniques and easy to combine. And attacking techniques, I said at the end 6, because we have this 12 and 12. The first 2 are Zongkühn and Limbangkühn, like I said. And then we have, of course, the Noi and Goi Guankühn, inner and outer Guankühn. I mean, we have so many punches in the system. We have 15 punches in the system of Wing Chun. High, low, rotating, double, straight, a lot of different ways to punch, springing, rising. I mean, hooking. We have so many punches, different versions of punches, 15 punches. Can you imagine we have 26 attacking tactics in the system, and 15 are just punches.
Just with a fist.
Just a fist.
And that's interesting. You don't see that at all on the internet of different punch. It's all chain punching or a single punch. There's no explanation of an actual different technique of punching.
I mean, of course, they do these chain punches. I wrote a lot about it, and I hope I can explain, because the guys who are doing this, they learned it and they do it. Yeah. Maybe they had not the chance to hear some other idea, some other possibility. If you hear just one thing, you begin to believe it, and you build up your pseudo reality.
You convince yourself just through repetition of doing the same
thing.
Always
guys together, they speak the same, they believe in something, and you start to build up your pseudo reality. And only if you hear some other possibility, then you have the chance to think about it. And I think these things are forgotten. And chain punches, of course, if you train a little girl, a little kindergarten girl, 6 years old, and she's doing punches, whatever, I would say, oh, it's cool, But if you are older than 13 years and you do still this, I mean, that looks really crazy and weak. If your first punch does not work, the problem, If your second does not work, more problems. If your third does not work, I mean, who are you? And if your fifth or sixth does not work, this is what I do here sometimes with massage girls. They punch me 20 times to massage me. But if you don't want to massage someone, so it's much better you train your first punch. And the problem is they count quantity, not quality. And if you do, for example, 2 punches, and most say, in 1 second, I can train to do 10 punches. Of course you can, but they are not dangerous. Why not training 1 or 2 punches in a second, which are dangerous? If you can do more than 2 punches a second, better you train the quality instead of the quantity. You make it stronger, much stronger.
Absolutely.
Instead of just doing much more. And
and so I think, like you said, I think the book will give that opportunity of explaining the different options as opposed to multiple punches, some really clever angled ideas, rotating ideas, hooking ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I tried my best to explain it. Why don't we do more than 2 punches? And I'm pretty sure the most will understand it.
Mm.
More than 2. If you do something which is not working, it is not better to do more of. So if something not works, it is pretty stupid to repeat it. Better you find a way to make it better, to make it functional.
Mm.
And if you see some videos, sometimes they do Tang, so 5 Zongkün or Linbankün or however they call it, chain punches, and an elbow and whatever, and the partner is still standing there. You know? So what does it mean? What does it really mean? So Goi Zongkün, it's inside and outside Zongkün. This is to remove or to remove a position which is behind, which could be called a Wu position of our opponent. In Kosau, it is a Wu position that we attack from the inner Zongkün, what is the Noi Zongkün. Or we could attack it with a Goi Zongkün. It depends on what, you know, if it is diagonal or parallel, the position of our opponent. So we have to decide. For a rotating, I only would say we need the inside rotating. The outside is not that important for the first, later maybe. But the Goping is much more important, the high punch.
After the pack.
Yeah. So Zongkün, Linbankün, inner outer Zongkün, Guankün, the inner Guankün of course, and Gopingkün. And if we have these techniques, and we have at least at the end 24 techniques, because 12 as an elementary, and then another 12 to add some, add 4 attacking, add 3 defending, add 2 steps, add 2 stances, add 1 combining techniques, is 24 techniques. And you know, this is a third of the whole system. The whole system.
1/3. Wow.
It's almost, the system has 77 techniques. 77 techniques.
The whole thing. Suden Tao, Samkyu, Bu, Wooden Dummy.
77 techniques. 77 techniques, yeah. 56 techniques are just techniques for arms. The rest is legs. 56.
Attacking and defending ideas, movements.
Attacking and defending ideas, yes. Very interesting.
And this is all mentioned in the book.
It is mentioned in the book, everything.
Wow.
Everything in detail, yeah. I think it is important to speak about it, you know, to really count it up. So, I mean, 56 for just arms. The half is defending and the half is attacking, 28 and 28, by the way. And I count it up in the book, of course. I will let them know. Not exactly which technique. I mean, we have the terminology anyway. They can anyway count by themselves.
This is already released, yeah.
So anyway, so I give everything what I know. I give and talk about everything what I know. So, but 77 techniques, 24 we already learned in the first. I would say we could learn it in the first year, maybe 1.5 years, and then we make it better and better to become good needs about in using or applying. And like you said, 24 technique needs about 2 years, I would say, and then you're a really, really good fighter.
Yeah,
but you could learn it in the first year. I mean, you could at least make it a bit Chiso, a bit. This is the reason with this SAT. You know, I can immediately start with Chiso. I mean, I explained Chiso, exactly every movement. I explained Kosau, exactly every movement. What are we doing with which arm? Why? With words, no picture. It's interesting.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, but it's good. If you will
really
go through it, you will like it, because it is, you know, it's a memory even for some instructors. If you forget something, you can go to the book and say, "Come on, but of course, this is the explanation of it. You know, this is why, this is how I do it. Why do I go to fork? Why do I go to bone? What is the preparation of a punch? What is the position? What are we doing? Why?" And if you explain everything, I mean, that is so much fun. It was so much fun for me to explain what I know, but to give my knowledge, to just throw it out, you know.
So interesting. Yeah, the how, the what, the why.
Yeah. And so, you know, I think it would be good for beginners, for in the first year to at least start a bit with Chiso, not sections. I don't speak about sections. I speak about Chiso, basic Chiso, for hardening, toughening your ligaments, your bones, your tendons, you move to perfect your movements, and this is what I speak about. Just the Chiso, the Quoso, Lazzo, applications. And in my meaning, an advanced guy is a guy who know this 24 techniques, first 24 techniques of the system. I mean, 24 is not exactly a third of 77, but it is about a third. And this is for me an advanced guy who knows this at least 20. I mean, it's not complicated. You know these techniques anyway. You know to apply since
years,
many years. Yeah, but we never thought about it, that it is almost or already a third of the system. We never.
Yeah, I think to your point, to group it, to write the book about what you already know, but maybe to put it in such a way. Oh, okay, yeah, this is cool. I know this, but to structure it, I think that's a really cool thing.
It's maybe a good satisfaction for the students to know after 1 year. You can say this is what you know is a third of the system. I mean, that sounds good. It is a third of the system. I mean, this is absolutely enough. Actually, if you can apply this, you are a top fighter. And it's anyway that we learn the most important techniques in the beginning and the more unimportant techniques at the end. So these are the 24 most important techniques of the system. This third is the most important third of the system, not just the third of the system. Because without this third, we cannot fight. We cannot just start backwards with WingChun or something.
And like I say, the most important is at the start of the system. The least important is at the end. There's the Chi Sao. And you mentioned Chi Ge. I've seen a lot of videos recently on Chi Ge as well.
Oh, okay. I have to start this way. We have 4 forms. Sinu Tao Samkyu, Beauty, WingChun. How can I call this in English? Let's say a strategy. Sinu Tao Samkyu is one strategy. The Beauty is one strategy. WingChun is one strategy. Chi Ge is an exercise for balancing and using kicks, what you learned before. It is a balance exercise. It is not. You could say it is a section, but it's not a separate strategy. It is just an exercise. Chi Ge is an exercise.
Right.
Chi Sao an exercise. So it's Chi Ge an exercise for the legs and Chi Sao for the arms. But Chi Sao is not sections. It's just Chi Sao. It's an exercise.
And so you can, so obviously you take parts of Chi Sao to apply them. So you can take parts of Chi Ge to apply them.
Yes. That is combat. But we have 3 strategic systems. So 3 strategic systems, which is Sinu Tao Samkyu, Beauty, WingChun. Different strategy. And so these systems are counted in at the end 20 sections. We say sections to it. And I will explain exactly what and why they are separate. These are 3 strategy parts.
Okay.
And Chi Ge is not a strategy part. It is just an exercise, like I said. It's just an exercise for the legs. I mean, Chi Ge, it sounds like very advanced, but it is just a balancing exercise for kicks and steps. It is not a complicated thing. It's just a simple way to train your balance. Good. Everything is good. Everything is fine. Everything is a part of the whole system. And so it's a very important part. But the most important part, and if you would not know more than these 24 techniques, it would be absolutely enough. But anyone, when I would count up now these 24 techniques, anyone after 2 years could count one more technique, what he already know, which is not counted yet. But they all know something more because we do some Gaozabu, we do some Subo, Jubo, for example, We do some other steps, we do some other stances, like the Tsaksanma, and a side stance or whatever. We have stances after the Chuma, for example, We have this stance. We do Chinmo to Taksama. From Taksama, we can do a step. Or we do a Chinbo. Or from Chinsama, we do a Chinbo. Yeah.
But not necessarily regarded as the core basics.
Yeah. But everyone knows a Taksama. Yeah. Everyone knows something else. Everyone knows some other step, some other attacking technique. Everyone knows it. Or something, a Chansa, Fatsa. Everyone could say, I know a Fatsa as one more attacking technique because I like it, I love it. Or the other one would say, I love a Chansa. I saw it sometimes. It's a pretty cool technique. Yeah, it's a technique, yeah. Or we did not speak about the elbows or about distances and why elbows, yeah. And in this book, I will speak about the main distance. How many centimeters is it anyway? So I counted in centimeters, but of course we all are different in our height and in our length of arms. It's an average. It's
all relative, yeah.
Relative is something to say, okay, this is about this plus minus some centimeters. I can say this is the distance from main distance. The minimum of the main distance is this. If it comes closer, it's close distance, then we can use elbows because of, yeah. And I will explain the distances in perfection because it's good to know what we do and why we have another system like UC. Yeah. If I, by the way, say 56 techniques and 28 attacking, 28 defending techniques, it means primary attacking and primary defending. I just thought about because we have even defending techniques which are in some close distance useful as attacking techniques, and we have attacking techniques which are in some situation good as a defending technique. For example, beauty zao. You could use it as a defense or as an attack, right?
Depending on
how close someone is. You can fight defend a strike. You can attack in a neck. Yeah. It's depending on the distance. Yeah, so it's because of the strategy. What do I do? Why? So, but if you just like to do an elbow and you come too close because you like to become closer, of course you cut off every other technique which are useful in the main distance because you like just one technique. This is crazy, yeah. So in some situations, because in a rush, you count wrong, you are some stress in yourself, and you come too close, then you have this technique because, not because you like it, because of the situation, because of this, what happened. Yeah. I mean, very interesting.
So interesting. Oh, we could spend forever speaking about some detail. I have to be patient. We have to wait for the book.
I mean, the book is the book. The book is just a book,
Yeah. But a very interesting read. Very interesting.
It is a basic thing to say, okay, I go through it and now I understand the system better. Or it's a help for every instructor. You can go through it and say, did I forget something to teach? Yeah, you can check yourself. It's like a checklist, a good checklist for an instructor. It's a checklist for a student as well. You say, did I forget the technique? Oh, shit. Since here, I did not think about this technique. Man, let's think about it, because it's an important technique. It comes first, so it has to be important. And if some understand that this 24, let's say the first 12 techniques are the most important techniques of the system, you know how important it is to not forget it.
And to repeatedly train forever until the end.
Forever to come better and better and better.
Yeah.
This is the way of a master to, a lot of people say, when I was young, I was good in, or when, when I remember 10 years ago, I was so good in doing Mokyan Sang. I remember a time when I was tested in Mokyan Sang, and a guy stand beside me, and our Sifu at this time said, can you show the Mokyan Sang? And he was starting laughing, and he said, hey, Sifu, do you know how long I did not train Mokyan Sang? He wanted to test. For very high
done it for a while.
Yeah, and he didn't do it. He didn't do it. I trained it every day because I know I get tested, so I trained it every day to the air. It was freaking.
Even for first, I don't know. I remember doing it with you. First technician grading. Okay, show me your first student latter. What? The first
this
student
is what
latter.
I explained in the book.
Yeah. It needs to be absolutely perfect.
Yeah, how I test how I test a technician. I see if you are a technician, if you show me your first 12 or your first 24 techniques, then I can say, wow, that looks like a technician. It's not because your new exercise, what you learned to become a technician or as a technician. The new exercise is a new exercise, but I select technicians and I see technicians by looking at them, how they do the first 24 techniques, the most important techniques, the main defending, the main attacking techniques, their stance, the first step
is the important thing.
Preparing techniques, their first combining technique. This is the most important. And I see a master in moving in this technique. I could say this guy is a master, this guy is a high technician because he moves in that way. I don't have to see the high technique. I look at this technique. This is what I do or did in the past when I tested technicians. I explained, by the way, in the book how I tested technicians, what I'm looking for. So it's very important. What you would love about it when you read it, because you know
I experienced it. I know exactly.
You know me exactly, and then you say, "Oh man, I did not know
not
that."
easy, not easy at all. A long weekend of testing.
Yeah. And of course, I want to see that because this is the difference. How you do your first techniques. Yeah, the technique what you learned in the first week cannot look like you did it in the first week after 2 years. Where's the progress then? And this is the most misunderstood thing in the whole system. Always is waiting for the secret, waiting for the advanced technique, waiting for everything. Yeah. And I will explain what is secret. Do we have secrets? No, we don't have secrets. It has no secret in the system. Secret is for the no knowledge guys. They talk about secret, and they do things what they never teach because they know not much. You know what I mean?
Closed door secret things. Yeah.
They speak about secret because they hope they get it by themselves. You know, the hidden secret. Or advanced technique. What is an advanced technique? We have advanced students, but not an advanced technique. The technique is only the technique. And does technique look advanced because it is an advanced technique? Or does a technique look advanced because an advanced guy is doing this technique?
Yeah. It's the purpose of the movement. It's just a movement, but what is the purpose? How important is it?
Yeah, but I think the most don't know the purpose of a movement. They just like a movement because it looks cool or something else, but it is not understood. And this is the problem. And my advice to all WingChun doers is think about the technique and focus on the primary technique, the beginning of the system. What did you learn in the first week? I mean, you remember maybe the times when I did some seminars and guys showed up from some styles and I asked them, can you show me your Man and Wu? And then I know they know nothing. They said to me, they trained WingChun since 5 years. I said, can you show me Man and Wu? And I saw at doing Man and Wu that they know nothing. I only have to look at Man and Wu, how they prepare the Man and Wu. And I know everything. The stance, their focus, their tension, and the technique, how it looks like, what is the movement of technique, what is the end of the technique, where do they stop, did they start? And by looking at this, I can say this is a guy who knows something, this is a guy who knows nothing, this is a master, this is a technician, this is a high advanced guy, this is a beginner, or this is a guy who just learned from YouTube. Yeah. I can see by just doing Man and Wu, nothing else. Everyone could film themselves and send me his Man and Wu position. I could look at it and say exactly where this guy is standing, where this guy is, what his knowledge is, because this is the beginning. This is the beginning of all. And if you don't understand this, what do you hope to understand later?
Yeah. If the first kind of setup is wrong, start again. Improve this. Okay, this is good. Now let's move on to the number 2. Yeah.
But you see, do you remember our first podcast? How to become a master or grandmaster? Something. It is never an ending, even not for me. You know, so we all are the same. We have to repeat the same things. I have to repeat Man and Wu and Zhong Kühn, Lin Ban Kühn, Tan Sao, Gan Sao, Chin Bo, Dap Bo, Chin Sanma, Qingma, Wu Sao, Pak Sao, Sam Sao, Lap Sao. I have to repeat this as well as
absolutely
is repeating it. I have to do it to not lose it. because it leaves me if I don't repeat it. It leaves me. Maybe if I would not move for 1 year, maybe it would not do it much difference because I did it for the last 30 years.
So many years, yeah.
Maybe not, yeah. Maybe not much. But if you train it for 3 years and you stop for 1, this is the difference.
You'll forget a lot, yeah.
You forget a lot, and your body forgets. And if you don't use these brain cells, they rebuild. Or they decay even. Yeah. This is a fact. The body is, if you don't move a body, muscles are getting weaker, bones are getting weaker, ligaments are getting weaker, tendons, everything, our brain, we just start decaying, and the body eats itself. And the thing is to always move. By the way, in the book I explain my rotation strength training and the synergy. I call it synergy strength training. I have 2 training models: synergy and rotation.
This is to train general movements or specific movements in a certain way to make them stronger, quicker.
Yeah, specific movements, and you are not. It's not just a straight movement. It's a typical WingChun movement. It's typical to strengthen your attack and your primary attacking and your primary defending techniques, like Bong Sao Tan Sao, Guan Kun, Zhong Kun, inner outer. And Goping Kun, for example. And so you're getting stronger in doing Bong Sao Tan Sao and all these Kun positions, which are high Kun positions, not the low ones. And that makes incredibly strong attacks and incredibly strong defense. So what you build up is a functional muscle system. We have a lot of synergists. These are the muscles. We have the agonist, the antagonist, and the synergist. For example, for a strike, you need as an agonist the triceps muscle, and the antagonist would be the biceps. If the biceps is too strong, maybe it's a plate. Yeah. Maybe you hold it back. Yeah, you have to relax your biceps to use your triceps. But the triceps alone is not doing this exercise. The triceps is the agonist, the main muscle. But of course, you need a part of your chest muscle or of your shoulder muscle too, and some other muscles who are helpers actually. So
to accelerate the bone. Yeah.
And we have a lot of rotating positions, like from the tan to the bong, from the bong to the tan. And in this training, I train your muscles to rotate, and during your rotation to be still strong. That is not a gap between it. And so what I want to reach is that my students have no gaps, and they have extremely strong main defenses and extremely hardcore attacks. Almost not breakable defenses and brutal attacks.
Unstoppable attack.
Unstoppable, absolutely. This is, I'm sure. And I explain these techniques, by the way, or this training with words, no pictures. Like I explained the
this is cool. And so the book's obviously going to be released in German first, and then we'll do some English translation. It'll be available in English soon.
Yeah. Actually, the German is finished, and I go through it now for, I would say, now I'm moving in the next 2 weeks, so it's a bit stressy, of course, and I will finish it, go through it all the time, maybe 1 more month, let's say 1 more month, and then I search for a publisher for the German, and immediately when I have one, let's go to the English version as soon as possible. Because it's for me more important. Most of the world are English speakers.
Sure.
And for me, of course, my mother language is German, and I think in German, and it's so. I hope I can explain this in the same way like I did in German.
We will translate it perfectly, no problem.
We do our best. Because it's, I have in German, when I speak German, I have so many synonyms to explain the same thing with different words, and some words are just more fitting to explain it. In English, it's a basic it's a basic conversation thing, so I don't have so many synonyms. I can just
to explain the feeling
something, but in a a very easy way. Let's say in an easy way. I learn a bit more all the time, of course, but it's an easy way for me to explain things in English. It works, but it worked with us. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. We'll get there. Looking very much forward to the book, Sifu. As always, thank you for your time and explanation on these techniques. All will be explained in the upcoming book. And very much looking forward to the next podcast, as always.
Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to this podcast.
Absolutely. Hope the move goes well in a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah. Me too. Yeah.
Good luck.
I'll let you know. Bye-bye.
Cool. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.